Do you like my hat? Please say yes. It is no question that the Seattle Mariners offense has been in question so far this year, and one of the biggest problems has been the designated hitter.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way.
There is pretty much no production coming from Cooper Hummel or Tommy La Stella, the two main guys that are DHing there, and occasionally Tom Murphy, who also has not seen a good time at the plate. And this was made clear by Foolish Baseball over on Twitter. He said worst OPS by position 2023, and the Seattle Mariners have two positions on this list, first being second base at 260 for the OPS, and then the DH at 309. Now, these are the two lowest numbers on this list. 260 is the lowest, and 309 is the second lowest. Obviously, Kolten Wong at second base, and then, of course, Cooper Hummel, Tommy La Stella, Tom Murphy, etc. at DH. So in this video, we're going to talk about how the Mariners can fix the DH position, and maybe even second base while we're at it, but mainly the designated hitter position. Now, we were thinking about making this video, and it was recommended by Mikey Boy over in our members-only Discord. If you are a member, make sure to let us know, and we will give you the link to that Discord, or you can become a member today and join the Discord and chat with us. So first and foremost, that 309 OPS that we have seen so far out of our DHs. Wow, that is god awful. And there are a few options. First, we're going to start with who we can sign as a free agent. Who is left on the free agent market the Mariners could sign to fill that DH role. Then we'll go with somebody like bringing someone up, I guess, out of the farm system, kind of in-house. And then we will go the trade route. And I think the very last trade in this video is probably my favorite. Now, free agency, there are only really two players I'd be even slightly interested in, and even then, I don't know if I'm in love with either of these picks. First for me is outfielder Stephen Piscotty. He's 32 years old. He's a right fielder, bats right, throws right, and overall, Piscotty has really been nothing over the past few years. In Oakland in 2022, he hit 190, 252, 341 with a 72 OPS plus, but in the minor leagues in 2022, he did hit 275, 336, 450 with 5 home runs, so maybe there's something there, but at that point, you probably just stay in-house. I'll be interested to see everyone's reaction here. This one is the return of Robbie Cano. Obviously, Robbie has not been good ever since he was traded to the New York Mets. In 2022, he played for 3 different teams. He hit 150, 183, 190 with a 7 OPS plus. Robbie is he's just washed. Robbie's washed, and the Mariners got rid of him when they did, but maybe he could come back for basically free. You wouldn't really have to pay him anything. Basically free, put him over at second base, and just see if he can produce anything more than Kolten Wong right now. I know those first two picks are not inspiring, but it's only going to get better from here, and I just want to make sure we cover all of our avenues. We're going to now talk about in-house players. And number one on that list, it has to be Mike Ford, the Bronco son who keeps returning to the Seattle Mariners. Even though he never gets to play, he can give Ty France a day off over at first base, and he's probably going to produce at least a little bit better than Tommy La Stella. At least Mike Ford can play the field. Right now, down in Tacoma, Mike Ford's hitting 327, 410, 596 with a 1.006 OPS. Yeah, that's a little bit better than what we're getting currently out of Tommy La Stella. Mike Ford does have 3 home runs with 18 RBI, albeit in just 14 games. But Mike Ford has proven that if anyone's going to be on this roster from the minor leagues, it needs to replace Tommy La Stella right now. I'm saying right this very second, it needs to be Mike Ford. The next guy for me is going to be Taylor Trammell. Obviously, he just returned from the injured list and is taking a rehab assignment down in Tacoma just a few days ago. And in my opinion, Trammell will be on this team before long. I think he actually more than likely replaces Cooper Hummel than he does Tommy La Stella. Trammell, of course, needs to get his work in, along with Dylan Moore and Cade Marlowe. All 3 of these guys just came back. We talked about this a little bit in our podcast that we released yesterday, but Taylor Trammell, I think, if nothing else, he gives you the opportunity to move Teoscar Hernandez to DH. With Taylor Trammell playing the outfield, he can give Julio a day off in center. He can give JK a day off in left. Taylor Trammell is going to be a big addition to this team, as well as bringing back Dylan Moore. I'm not sure how far away Dylan Moore is, but needless to say, he will be a big addition. Maybe they get rid of Tommy La Stella then. It's not an if they replace Tommy La Stella, it's a win. And I think that this should be more of a right now thing than a little bit down the line. But if we are willing to wait on Tommy La Stella, then I think one of these 3 guys could definitely replace them in-house. But Mike Ford can do it right freaking now. I think they should just go with Mike Ford right now. Okay. Now we're going to get into the fun part, and that is trades around the league for a designated hitter. Now, obviously, we're going to need to make a big trade for a designated hitter, and I told you guys yesterday that we were going to show you something pretty big in today's video, so make sure you don't skip through this. This is going to be the new Julio Rodriguez Big Head Bobble coming from Foco. Check this bad boy out. It is out of 144. Only 144 of these are going to be made. This is coming from Foco tomorrow at 8 a.m. Pacific. Make sure you go over there and use code Mariner Mojo 10 at checkout for 10% off your order. You'll be helping support us, and be sure to be one of the 144 people that get this bobble. I want to know how many of you guys actually watch this, so if you saw this ad, make sure you type Big Bobble in the comments down below. A big part of the 2022 Seattle Mariners was Carlos Santana, and this is a guy that honestly the Mariners probably should have held on to, but now they might have to go make a trade and get him back from the Pittsburgh Pirates. Santana is always a popular pick for Mariners fans just because of what he did for this team in 2022. The numbers don't show it, but Carlos Santana was a fun player for the Mariners last year. We'll never forget all of Carlos Santana's clutch moments in 2022. Carlos Santana hit 15 home runs. He hit 192, 293, 400 with a 100 exactly OPS plus for the Seattle Mariners in 294 plate appearances. In 2023, Carlos Santana has looked a little bit more like himself. He's hitting 246, 329, 431 with a 107 OPS plus. But the hard part about this is that the Pittsburgh Pirates may actually think they have a shot in that division because they've started out pretty hot. Of course, they've lost O'Neal Cruz, and now they just lost Ji-Man Choi for about 8 weeks, I think is what they said. So if someone's gonna have to play first base, it's probably gonna have to be Carlos Santana. Unfortunately, I don't know if the Pirates are gonna be willing to give up Carlos Santana. They brought him over there to be a, I guess, veteran force for them, which is kind of what the Mariners did in 2022. I don't know if Carlos Santana is an option, but I would love to have him back on this team. Continuing with the trend of players the Mariners probably should have signed last year in the offseason is Wil Myers. Now, this is a guy that we had talked about a lot, saying he can give a day off at first, he can give some days off in the outfield if we need him to. Wil Myers was the perfect fit, at least in my opinion, for the Seattle Mariners. He signed a 1-year, $7.5 million deal with the Cincinnati Reds, and the Mariners and Reds know each other pretty well. They've been doing a few trades here and there and making some decent deals. We got Luis Castillo and Eugenio Suarez from them. Why not see if you can go snag Wil Myers and the rest of his contract, because the Reds, of course, are not going anywhere in that division.
Why you bullying me?
So far in 2023, Wil Myers is at 242, 319, 371 with just an 80 OPS plus. Of course, it is early. He has 2 home runs with 9 RBI. In 2022, he hit 261, 315, 398 with a 107 OPS plus with 7 home runs and 41 RBI and 286 plate appearances. Again, it's only been 69 plate appearances so far for Wil Myers in 2023, and it's so hard to make a trade this early on in the season. I'm not sure if the Cincinnati Reds would be willing to do it, but hopefully it wouldn't cost too much. Another guy that could have been had this offseason is first baseman Jesus Aguilar. He was released by the Marlins earlier this year, and he was picked up by the Oakland Athletics on a 1-year, $3 million deal. You're paying Tommy La Stella a heck of a lot more than that. In 2023 so far, he's hitting 255, 294, 362 with a 656 OPS and an 89 OPS plus. He has 1 home run and 4 RBI for the Oakland Athletics in just 14 games. Now you may think to yourself, Colton, a 656 OPS is nothing. Why would we want Jesus Aguilar? Well, it's over double what you're currently getting out of your DH between Tommy La Stella, Cooper Hummel, Tom Murphy, etc. So yeah, Jesus Aguilar is an upgrade nonetheless. He has a career 106 OPS plus. He can play first base for you in a pinch if you need him to. Let's say Ty France needs a day off, and he's not going to cost you a lot. With that being said, let's start getting into some guys that are going to cost a lot. Okay, so this one, you guys are going to have to bear with me here, okay? Because at first you're going to say, man, that's a terrible deal. And once I'm done explaining this to you, you might still think to yourself, man, that's a terrible deal. But I want to hear your thoughts. Don't attack me. Stop it. Stop it. Accent. I can see you in the comments. Stop it. Don't attack me. All right. The next player on my list is Javier Baez. I know. Why would we want Javier Baez? You may be asking yourself. Let me tell you. El Mago himself is 30 years old. He won't be 31 until December. He's still relatively in his prime in terms of baseball ages. In 2023 so far, Javier Baez has been freaking awful. In just 16 games, he's hit 193, 254, 246 with a 500 OPS and a 45 OPS plus. Again, that's still higher than what you're getting out of your DH so far. In his career, Javi Baez has a 102 OPS plus, but in 2022, he hit 238, 278, 393 with a 93 OPS plus, a little bit better. And in 2021, between the Cubs and the Mets, he hit 265, 319, 494 with a 117 OPS plus. He hit 31 home runs that year. He still did hit 17 home runs for the Detroit Tigers in 2022, and he's a guy that can play second base, shortstop, and third base if you need him to give days off to all those guys up the middle. So if you don't feel like someone like Dylan Moore is going to be ready, Javi Baez might be the right choice. Now, there are two caveats here. One, he's going to cost a lot of money. But with how bad he's been, I don't think that the Tigers would be afraid to eat some of the money that he's owed. And two is the clubhouse fit. He's already been benched once by his manager this season for not running out a fly ball. He got out of the box late, and then he forgot how many outs there were. He thought there were 2 outs and he went to third, and then he was doubled up, and he barely got to second on that play as well because he was admiring a double that he thought was going to be a home run in the Rogers Center. Javi Baez just is not working out in Detroit, and I think they may want to get rid of him. Of course, they're not going to let someone like Javi Baez go for free, but he's supposed to be making $25 million over the next few years. Yeah. $25 million a year. If you're the Mariners, that is a non-starter unless you can get the Detroit Tigers to maybe eat some of that contract. If you can get the Tigers to pay maybe 60% of that contract, then you're maybe paying what, like 11, 12 million a year for Javier Baez. That's a little bit easier of a pill to swallow. Their pitching is already pretty stacked for the next few years, but you can send them some prospects. And again, I don't think it would cost a lot. I think adding Cade Marlowe to that deal along with some pitcher somewhere in there, while also giving them a little bit of payroll flexibility where they're not paying $25 million to Javier Baez, the Tigers might actually take that deal. Now, this is my second favorite deal on the list that we're about to talk about here, one that I've seen thrown around a lot. The first person on the list might surprise you a little bit because honestly, this guy might be the right choice, and that is outfielder Tyler O'Neill. Obviously, the Mariners traded Tyler O'Neill for Marco Gonzalez all those years ago, but how nice would it be to have Tyler O'Neill back in a Mariners uniform? And speaking of guys that have already been benched this season, Tyler O'Neill's one of them. There was a lot of talk about some animosity between Tyler O'Neill and Ollie Marmol, the manager for the St. Louis Cardinals. I don't know how much of that is still at play here, but the fact of the matter is there was some bad blood between the two. Oliver Marmol said that Tyler O'Neill wasn't hustling to get to home plate and he benched him. In my opinion, this was just a bad call by Ollie Marmol, and Tyler O'Neill kind of agreed.
Should have been handled a little differently in my opinion, but who's to say?
So far in 2023, Tyler O'Neill is hitting 278, 328, 426 with a 107 OPS plus. He has 2 home runs and 4 RBI. O'Neill did struggle a little bit in 2022 where he hit 228, 308, 392 with a 101 OPS plus, hitting just 14 home runs with 58 RBI. That was coming off of an MVP 8 in 2021 where he hit 286, 352, 560 with a 148 OPS plus, 34 home runs and 80 RBI with 15 stolen bags. The Cardinals outfield is already pretty stacked with Tyler O'Neill, Jordan Walker, Dylan Carlson, Lars Nootbaar, Brendan Donovan can play out there once in a while. Needless to say, the Cardinals maybe don't even need to have someone like Tyler O'Neill on their roster. And Yardbarker talked about this a little bit. They said, could Cardinals trade Tyler O'Neill following benching drama with manager? And especially after the benching and everything, is it possible that the St. Louis Cardinals, the team that is coming to Seattle today, could possibly want to trade Tyler O'Neill? This is definitely one of the biggest trades that the Mariners could make for DH help, in my opinion, because again, you could put Tyler O'Neill in the outfield and then bring Teoscar Hernandez into DH, and you could actually have a true rotating sort of deal with your designated hitter position. The rumor has been the Cardinals have been looking for pitching depth, and unfortunately for the Mariners, I'm not sure exactly how that works out right now. Of course, the whole trade Chris Flexen thing is always an option for the Seattle Mariners, and with Robbie Ray possibly coming back from the IL at the 15-day mark, maybe Chris Flexen then gets moved or he again goes back to the bullpen. Flex has not helped himself when it comes to building trade value. Neither has Marco Gonzalez, and I don't know if the Cardinals would really want to bring back Marco Gonzalez for Tyler O'Neill. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if the trade they just swapped him back? Tyler O'Neill for Marco Gonzalez, you know, let's make it happen. In my opinion, if you are trading for Tyler O'Neill, you're gonna have to give up one of your top guys, whether that be Emerson Hancock, who's shown out really well, or Bryce Miller or Brian Wu. I think Emerson Hancock is the most likely because he's probably the closest to helping a big league roster. So Emerson Hancock would probably go in that trade, and I wouldn't be shocked to see like a Cade Marlowe or a Taylor Trammell go as well. We don't know for sure if Tyler O'Neill is even on the chopping block, but someone that we do know who's on the chopping block, and I would love to see them back in a Mariners uniform, a former Mariner. Yeah, Daniel Vogelbach. Stop. Don't you dare click off this video. I will not accept that kind of Daniel Vogelbach slander here. Daniel Vogelbach could provide a lot for this team, and I know Mets fans aren't happy with Vogie. So just bear with me here, because this could be the cheapest option and also the one that makes the most sense. So far in 2023, Vogie is hitting 231, 412, 385 with a 796 OPS and a 122 OPS plus. He has 1 home run and 6 RBI so far in just 34 plate appearances for the New York Mets. I'm not sure why everyone on the Mets is complaining about Daniel Vogelbach and his 412 OBP. He has 8 walks and just 4 strikeouts. Daniel Vogelbach has been a decent player for them. I mean, look at these guys right here. Noah throws 4 straight balls and Vogelbach swings at the first pitch. Please bring up Mark or Ronnie. Vogelbach just has an awful half swing. It's almost like someone experiencing with switch hitting. Experiencing? Wait, numbers guy. I think you mean experimenting. Embarrassing. With switch hitting from the left side for the first time. Or you got this guy saying that they should just DFA Daniel Vogelbach when they bring up Brett Beatty. Obviously, Vogie has not made any friends over there with the New York Mets, and there's been a lot of talk about designating him for assignment. Now, he's been a good hitter for them, so I don't know if they're that stupid, but the Mets are pretty dumb. If he was to get DFA'd, I think the Mariners need to hop on that quickly, because he could give Ty France a day off at first base. He can be in your lineup versus right-handed pitching all the time, and overall, Vogie is a fun guy to have on your team. Now, maybe I'm a little bit biased. Just maybe. But I think Daniel Vogelbach is the guy that you could go and get for very cheap. You could probably get him for a minor league prospect at this point with how the Mets seem to feel about Daniel Vogelbach. And the early season struggles of a lot of the Mariners players could be solved by just adding another big bat to their lineup. We were always in the camp that the Mariners needed one more bat to be really good. Replacing the designated hitter for the Seattle Mariners isn't as hard as they're making it seem. Honestly, Tommy La Stella needs to be gone. But there are some other players struggling on this team right now, and we have a video about Teoscar Hernandez and what he's looked like lately. Go ahead and check that one out. I appreciate you guys watching this one, and go Mariners.